Hey guys, what's going on? Today's video, we're going to be doing the tier list of the Series 4 cards in Marvel Snap. We're getting lucky and series drops have returned to the game. The next series drop is going to be on the 9th this month, and with it, we're going to see a few cards come down into Series 4 that have been stuck up in Series 5 for a long time. So I thought it would be perfect timing for us to get into a ranking list. And with Series 4 only being 3,000 collector's tokens for each individual card, I figured this was a perfect time to give you guys more information on the cards, where they are currently. And I just wanted you to be able to spend those collector's tokens on the right stuff after you worked so hard to get them. And to just break down the tiers, we have the standard S, A, B, C, and F tier. S being the cream of the crop card that's going to be meta relevant and a high win rate, maybe even a high cube rate card. An A tier card is a little bit worse than that, doesn't necessarily win you as many games, doesn't create any new archetypes necessarily, but still very strong in the meta. B tier can be strong in the meta, can be strong as an individual card, but it doesn't have as good of consistencies that you might see in the A and the S tier level. C tier is getting pretty weak. They're more going to be found in niche decks and are just not generally as strong. And F tier is obviously just not a very good card in general. There's probably way better options in many of the archetypes the card would fit in, and it's just not meta relevant or even a good card. So without further ado, let's get into the Series 4 tier list. And first up is Daken. He is a 3 energy 4 power card with the text on reveal, add the Muramasa shard to your hand. And the Muramasa shard is a 1 energy, 1 power card that when it is discarded or destroyed, it doubles Daken's power. Now, personally, I don't think Daken is the best option in any of the archetypes he fits in. Destroy, discard, even in Surfer decks. He still has some value, and he's decent in these decks situationally, so I'm going to end up throwing him in the B tier. And next up is everybody's favorite, Darkhawk. He's a 4 energy, 0 power with the ongoing effect of +2 power for each card in your opponent's deck. And Darkhawk is just an S tier card. He took a little hit when Blob initially came out because he would eat up the deck that Darkhawk would be trying to add cards to. But now Blob has become a little less played and Darkhawk is still extremely strong. And if he's not going against a Blob deck, he's an S tier card every time. Obviously, if he's going against a Blob, he falls down significantly. And additionally, the cards that you need to add into a Darkhawk list to make it effective, Rockslide, Korg, Black Widow in some cases, are just generally not bad cards either, so that just adds to the value of Darkhawk being in your deck list. And next up is Echo, the 1 energy 2 power card with the text, after your opponent plays an ongoing card here, remove its abilities. Echo used to be a weaker card in my opinion, but over the last few months with the additions of lots of new cards, I would put Echo more towards an A tier card. She's pretty valuable to help counteract certain cards like a Miss Marvel, for example, locking down the middle lane so you don't have to worry about the power Miss Marvel can produce into other lanes. She works well with Kyera. Now that Kyera's come out, you can throw your Echo down earlier in the game and be a little more confident that it's not going to be destroyed by Killmonger and continue to impact the board play throughout the entirety of the game, not just potentially the beginning. And moving on, we have Hitmonkey, the 3 energy 2 power card with the on reveal, gain +2 power for each other card you played this turn. Hitmonkey took a little bit of a hit when he was nerfed a few patches ago, but he's still a very strong card in the bounce archetype. You can also use him in a Surfer list for a larger turn 6 play if you're doing Sarah in your list. So I would put him in an A tier, borderline maybe B tier, dependent on the list. He's definitely an A tier card in bounce, and you should be including him in your list. He can get really strong, and people still underestimate him after his nerf. And moving on, we have Howard the Duck. He is a 1 energy, 2 power card with the ongoing text to tap this to see the top card of your deck. And unfortunately, Howard the Duck's been out in this game for a long time at this point. He's finally just got dropped down to Series 4 with this update, and he's still an F tier card, unfortunately. There's not really much benefit to him in terms of a control list, other than if you're playing Iron Lad, you can be a little more specific in what you're targeting and get a good card's effect twice guaranteed. But there's just way better lower cost cards, especially 1-drops in control like Nebula or Sunspot, that honestly just are more effective and more powerful than Howard the Duck. And Ghost Spider is next. She is a 1 energy, 2 power card with the on reveal text, the last card you played moves here. And Ghost Spider is probably in the A tier in my opinion. She's very strong in the move archetype. She can impact early game movement much better and more controlled than a lot of the early game move cards that are only going to let you move to the left per se. And she's also only 1 power in the move archetype, which is huge. The only other 1 power move card is a Iron Fist, and she is much more versatile than Iron Fist. And she can also be useful in archetypes that are not just move. You can be playing larger powered decks with bigger cards, like a deck with Shuri and Red Skull. And if you don't have your Taskmaster combination, you can pull away your Red Skull out of a lane to potentially avoid it from being destroyed if you don't have an armor. I think she has a lot of potential in a lot of decks just besides move, and people need to look to potentially start using her more in a low energy flex position. And moving on, we have Kitty Pryde, probably formerly one of the best, if not the best card in Marvel Snap, but she was nerfed to a 1 energy, a 1 power with the ability, when this returns to your hand, +1 power, returns at the start of each turn. She also is a very strong candidate in the bounce archetype and is pretty versatile in most of the lists you're going to find her in. She's just not as strong as she used to be, obviously, so she probably gets lowered down into the A tier, because the Angela nerf also hurts her out a lot. But with the addition of Kyera into the game, making 1 cost not being allowed to be destroyed, I think you're going to see an uptick of Kitty Pryde again, and there's a potential that she could start getting out of hand if more bounce cards are added to the game, and she would find herself in S tier again in no time. And next up, we have Knull. He is a 6 energy, a 0 power with the ongoing ability, has the combined power of all cards destroyed this game. Now, obviously, if he's in a pure destroy list, he's probably S tier, maybe A tier, just because there's a lot of ways out there right now to destroy large powered cards, or in this case silence ongoing abilities. But Knull can be useful in other lists, for example a Mr. Negative type deck list, or the classic Galactus list is always pretty strong with Knull. I know how everybody hates Galactus and the Knull combination, especially with Eliath in the game now too, but I would put Knull as a solid A tier card still, given the current meta. And moving on, we have Lady Deathstrike. She is a 5 energy, 4 powered card with the on reveal text, destroy each card here with less power than this. And unfortunately, Lady Deathstrike probably finds herself in the F tier currently, especially with the release of Kyera. She can't even destroy the 1 cost that she was really capable of destroying all the time before, which would have had her probably only in the C tier, honestly. But given the current state of the meta and the future, she probably needs to be looked at and given a little buff, in my opinion, to get better. The only saving grace for her is that she is a very good counter to the junk archetype and can win you games that the opponent really is not going to be expecting you to be playing and destroying maybe some hoods that were sent over, or the Void. And moving on, we have Legion, a 5 energy, 7 power with the on reveal text, replace each other location with this one. And Legion is just an extremely strong card that is underplayed, in my opinion, by almost everybody at this point. He probably can also even be buffed up to an 8 power card, and he's still going to be a fair card. And I would put him in the S tier as of right now. He can fit into a wide variety of lists, and he can just kind of win you games that your opponent's not going to be expecting you to be playing. He can get rid of negative locations for you. He can swing the board around to have the locations be more favorable to you in terms of benefiting you more than it benefits the opponent, and with maybe a Muir Island or something in that line of play. And obviously, if you get the Storm combination with a Storm on turn 4 and a Legion on turn 5, you can just end the game and not let your opponent play turn 6 at all. And Man-Thing is a 4 energy, 5 power card with the ongoing text. 1, 2, and 3 cost cards here have a -2 power. And Man-Thing was a card that came out and I thought was really going to take over and be extremely good. And not that he was bad, it's just there was not a ton of lists out there that were flooding the board unless you were getting into a mirror match, junk matchups, or the occasional Thanos. But since Blob has been introduced to the game, and Thanos has been more prevalent, so Man-Thing started to have more value, in my opinion. And then with the addition of Kyera out being now, I'm expecting there's going to be more zoo type lists that are going to have lower cost 1 power cards that Kyera is protecting, and you're going to start seeing more value out of Man-Thing. So right now I'm going to put him in a B tier, but there's a potential he could get an A, or even all the way up to an S, depending on how things start to shape out. And next up is the 2 energy, 2 power card Mirage. With the on reveal, copy the lowest cost card in your opponent's hand into your hand and give it +2 power. And frankly, Mirage is slept on and how valuable she is. I would put her straight away into the S tier. She takes away and gives you information about your opponent's hand and deck if you're unaware at whatever point you're playing her. And she's just going to give you a additional value to a card that could be not great. And if you are playing a lot of Loki, or you have a Quinjet Devil Dinosaur list that you like, Mirage should be almost an auto include in all of those lists. You could even start to put her into other variants of lists just to start trying to get information from your opponent's hand, which is very valuable in this game. She's just all around a great card, and I would add her to your collection if you can. And next up is the 3 energy, 3 power Mobius M. Mobius with the ongoing ability. Your cost can't be increased and your opponent's cost can't be reduced. And obviously Mobius has been kind of up and down. He was a target of a heavy nerf and then kind of brought back to his normal text, and now he's a 3 cost, and he's generally just a very good card again, especially with the introduction of Scar into the game and more cost reduction. Loki is always a powerful list, and Mobius does an extremely good job of countering those, and I would put him all the way up in the S tier right now. You can throw him in a ton of different lists. He's sneaky good in Silver Surfer lists right now as well. And moving on, we have the 5 energy, 8 power card MODOK with the on reveal, discard your hand. And in terms of discard cards, MODOK is probably an S tier in that regard, but overall right now I would put him more in the B tier, unfortunately, because the best discard archetypes right now are not even including him because they want to have more focused discards. So they're using Black Knight, Ghost Rider, Lady Sif, and they're not even including a ton of discard. But there are a lot of potentially good discard cards coming out within the next few seasons, so I would look for MODOK to rise up into the A and S tier again within the next few months. And if you enjoy discard as an archetype, he's worth picking up. And Nimrod is a 5 energy, 6 power card, and when he's destroyed, it adds a copy to each other location. And unfortunately, Nimrod is not a strong card at this point. Obviously, he's mostly just going to be in destroy lists, or he's most popular in Galactus, I would say, right now. And if you're getting surprised by Galactus, yes, he's really good in that list, but overall, he's just pretty weak at this point, so I would throw him into the C tier. If you're going to be targeting him, you're probably a heavy destroy player or a Galactus player, but I would save your tokens most likely and pass on him. And moving on, we go to the recently buffed Ravonna Renslayer. She is a 2 energy, 3 power card with the ongoing text of your cards with 1 or less power cost 1 less with a minimum of 1. And she's now back into the S tier after she was buffed. She's extremely strong in a lot of lists. Obviously, Mobius counters her extremely well, but she helps a ton in your Darkhawk lists, or if you're playing a negative list, she's unbelievable. And people are always going to be sleeping on the power of card reduction in this game, and there's not a ton of cards that do it. And Ravonna is a cheap card that does card reduction, which is even more rare. So if you have the opportunity to pick her up, she's a very versatile card and can just make your overall collection much stronger. And Silver Samurai is one of the cards that has been dropped down to Series 4, and he is a 4 energy, 5 power card with the on reveal. Each player discards the lowest power card from their hand. And while his effect is very powerful, it is very situational and depending on your opponent's deck, if it's going to be a very strong move or a very weak move. And like I said, discard is kind of weaker right now unless you're playing the targeted discards of the Black Knight, so he doesn't have a great home at the moment, and there's not a ton of low power card out there that you're going to be getting to discard. You might get lucky and get a Darkhawk every once in a while, or an Iron Man if you're going against negative, but in general, he isn't consistently good enough for me to put him above a C tier. And SnowGuard is a 1 energy, 2 power card with the on reveal text. Add the Hawk and Bear Auroras to your hand, and they are both 3 energy cards that help impact the board. And SnowGuard was hit with a bit of a nerf recently, but she's still pretty strong overall. The Hawk card especially is still very impactful and can help you get out of bad locations and just ignore them for a little bit. Personally, I think she's very good and very useful, and as a tech card in multiple variations of the bounce list, but she can also be extremely good in just general control cards. She produces and gives you 2 extra cards to your hand that can help you fight, and as a 1 energy card, she's a minimal cost for you to do so. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw SnowGuard into the lower A tier for now. And next up we have Spider-Ham, the 1 energy, 1 power card with the on reveal text. Transform the leftmost card in your opponent's hand into a pig, keeping its power and cost. And I'm sure at this point everybody has been Spider-Ham at least once, and it can be quite annoying if it hits one of your key cards, like if you're playing a destroy deck and he hits your Knull, etc. But that doesn't happen all the time, and a lot of the times Spider-Ham is not very good in the cards he hits. Sometimes he can hit a huge card like a Red Skull, and that's just a actual huge buff to the Red Skull. So he pretty much has only a consistent home in bounce decks, but other than that, he's not very strong or consistent. So I'm going to throw him, surprisingly, all the way down into the C tier currently. And the penultimate card is Phoenix Force, who is a 4 energy, 5 power card with the on reveal text. Revive one of your destroyed cards and merge with it. That card can move each turn. And I think Phoenix Force is slept on how powerful it can be. Obviously, you want to merge with cards like Human Torch or Multiple Man as your most likely targets. And that value, if you draw correctly, you're just going to win. You probably are going to win the game every single time, so you need to know when you have to snap. But with the drop from Series 5 to Series 4, I would put Phoenix Force on your radar as a card to pick up, just because there is going to be a lot of potential for the card to be strong. But it's not super consistent still, so I'm going to throw Phoenix Force in the B tier for now. And finally, we have a card that has been a staple of Marvel Snap for a long time at this point. It is Zabu, the 2 energy, 2 power card with the ongoing effect that your 4 cost cards cost 1 less, a minimum of 1. And Zabu is going to go straight into the S tier. Even after his nerf a long time ago, he is extremely powerful in a wide variety of decks, and there's just not enough good things I can say about Zabu. You're gonna find ways to win when you're playing Zabu lists. He's consistently good, he's consistently strong. He works very well in Darkhawk lists, obviously, and that's probably his best overall archetype. But you can play around with a ton of different things with Zabu-related lists, and you're going to find success. He's actually pretty strong with the new Scar card as well, because you can use Zabu with a lot of 4 power or 4 energy, 4 power cards like Atuma, Typhoid Mary, and Sentry. So guys, that is every Series 4 card ranked and tiered as of the January 9th Series update. And as you can see, there are a ton of good cards in Series 4, so get ready to be using those collector's tokens appropriately. I'm assuming at this point, if you're getting Series 4, you know what you like to play, so make sure you're targeting those cards. I would specifically be going for Mobius right now if you don't have him, just because of the cost reduction is going to be heavy in this meta, and he is a great counter to that, and you can kind of slot him into pretty much any deck. And he's obviously not a high likelihood of a nerf target, just because he has been adjusted multiple times at this point, so you know your tokens will be good. So let me know what you think about this list, where you guys think, if you guys agree, if you disagree, let me know. I plan on doing some Series 3 and Series 2, Series 1, maybe even Series 5 tier lists as well. So let me know your thoughts, and if you made it this far in the video, guys, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.